Live. Hi, this is Craig Stevens, and this is the BrentwoodPodcast.com. The BrentwoodPodcast.com is all about arts in Tennessee and arts in the area, but really around Brentwood, Tennessee, or Franklin, Tennessee. So today we're going to talk about something that a good friend of mine, Patricia Lenard, has going on. And Patricia and I are part of the Change Mentor podcast, which is all about business. But this one's totally different. We have multiple facets in our personality, don't we, Patricia?
That's true.
So Patricia's got something going on. She calls it the Showcase High Heel Shoe Cabaret, and you'll have to correct me. So I'm gonna just go ahead and let you jump in, Patricia, and we'll start talking about what you got going on.
Okay, thank you so much for inviting me today, Craig. This is exciting. This is the first time I've really had the opportunity to speak outside of my office about Hello Self Cabaret. It's something that I have created to get people involved that want to express who they are, what they're about. It's a showcase kind of art event, and it may be spoken word, it could be a song, it could be a dance. So what it is a 2-hour show or a 2-hour event, call it a showcase or a cabaret, and there are various performers, and they have 10 to 12 minutes to do their particular performance. So it's a 2-hour show with a variety of performances within that 2-hour show. Now, Craig said something about we are part of Change Mentors. That is very true. And he said that's more focused on business. However, this is an artistic event, but I have used it in corporate America as not the exact show, but elements of this as a way to build teams. So it can be a business team building event or a retreat that they're having in business, as well as organizations, nonprofit organizations that want to do some fundraising. So what I would do is meet with them and tell them about the content of the program. Then, if they had some people in their event or in their organization that wanted to be part of this, I would audition them, and they would have 10 minutes, 10 to 12, to do what they wanted to do. And you know what really brought this to my mind was I was recently asked, I have a corporate background, by the way, human resources, but I was recently asked to do a spoken word, and it was a letter to myself that I had never written. So I read the letter page by page to the audience, and I was really blown away at people said, "Oh, wow, this is so moving. This is so engaging." And I thought, it's a letter to myself about why didn't you do this or why didn't you do that? How come you didn't support me? But I found out that people are hungry for their own expression, saying something themselves. Craig, I just heard a statistic, and you may have heard this before, but 90-some% of people surveyed recently are saying they feel lonesome or they're lonely. And what this report said, that a lot of that is coming from the fact that they were basically locked up for 2 years with COVID, and the social media. Social media, the kind of thing that you're doing, Craig, with this podcast or this LinkedIn Zoom podcast, it's letting people see faces. And I think that's what we're wanting now, is that connection. And with that 95%, I said, okay, this will be a connection. So I put it out there. So That's kind of what it is right now. It can be a fundraiser for your organization. I've done it in not this exact show, but elements of this show, and it would change every time using your actors and actresses, and they're unsung hero actors and actresses. So it is not about every age. It's clean. There is no foul language in it. It's all about engagement and encouragement.
Well, there's a lot of things going on in the world, but that's one of the things that are important is getting
Mhm,
having people around you that you can trust and that care
mhm.
and that will keep you from being lonely.
Yes.
So you had a one person show at one time. Can you explain a little bit about that and maybe a little bit about your background? Because I went to a couple of those, and I think it was called well, you tell me because you might have had several of these, but tell me what the first time you did this and how many times you've done it since, that you're a one woman show,
Mhm.
and how all that leads together and how that inspired you to get where you are with this.
Outstanding, outstanding question, Craig. As a matter of fact, you're making the link that I just jumped in here and didn't make because I think that is very important. When my son was 12 years old, I wrote this one woman show, but I never got to perform it till I moved to Nashville, Tennessee, and I found out about Bell Court. I mean, not Bell Court, Bongo Java Coffee House. It was a little venue upstairs that held about 40 people or 30 people. So I said, I'm going to do my one woman show. Now, when it started out, I've got a date. And it's about a woman in midlife who is rediscovering who she is simply from this date. And so I performed it here at Bongo Java several times. And then I took this one woman show to Bell Court. Now, I told you it started out as I've got a date. Then it evolved to high heel shoes, the high heel shoes story. And because I wrote a book, Wearing High Heels in a Flip Flop World, because this woman in this show had been living a flip flop life. And her friend from New York came to visit, who was a lawyer, and said, "What have you been up to?" And she said, "Oh, just planting flowers and working around the house." Her friend, who is a lawyer from New York, said, "What? You need a life." And so then that's when her friend said, "I'm going to fix you up with a blind date." And so all of this story, the show is all about her in her bedroom telling the story and she's getting ready for the date, telling her story of how this all evolved to this point and the transition she's going. And it was all about high heel shoes. She had been wearing flip flops and she went out there to buy a new outfit to wear to on the blind date. And that's when she said, "Oh my gosh, what am I doing wearing these high heels? This is not me." So she felt good about herself for the first time. She stood in front of the mirror and said, "Tell me the truth. Do I look all right?" So, anyway, and you ask about my corporate background. Yes, I worked with a company in Memphis, and we actually produced as a way to engage the corporate office out of California to this small operation in Memphis. We actually produced a show. It wasn't a presentation on a flip chart. It was people from the team actually, and we choreographed it and everything, but actually speaking about their presence in that team here in Memphis and how it felt to be part of a bigger organization out in California. Sometimes they said they felt like a stepsister. So I think it was very interesting that 4 vice presidents came from the California office and they had never seen anything. They didn't know what we were going to do. They thought it was going to be a flip chart like we use in corporate America. But no, that's not what it was. And they were blown away. They used some of the people out of the Memphis operation then to go out to California and present this as a team building operation to the California people. We are a society starved for the arts. I'm a big Shakespeare fan and always have been. He taught about life through the arts. So a lot of his shows were set up just like that. And I think we need to get back to more of that. And I remember Daniel Pink in his book said, we've become a checklist society. Okay, we did that training. Now everybody's ready to go. No, we do it and then we throw it up on the shelf and say, oh no, they've all been through that training. We know what it is. So I think that, yes, Craig, this definitely fits in with your change mentor concept and the work that we've done before in universities and everything. So I think I'm excited about it. And I just presented it to somebody today in Atlanta.
And one of the things you said remind me of something else. Before I forget it, I want to
Okay, cool.
That. So you said that the one and done and put it up on the shelf, right? And so that reminds me of safety. You can't do safety that way, right? I mean, that's every time you meet. Well, same thing with customer focus. Every time you meet, you talk about the customer. So that's why we created the customer service training, so that it's a weekly training and the subject changes every month, but you talk about it every time you meet. And so that's really a good thing. The other question I had is this new venture. You're going to get other people come in and talk about their creativity, it sounds like, right? And it's going to be entertaining. So me being an artist, I'm gonna be your subject here, right? So I'm interested in being on your show. So if I was somebody who had a creative side, maybe I'm creating products, maybe I'm creating songs, maybe I'm creating art,
or
visual
flags,
artwork, artistic flags in my case, or artistic oil and acrylic paintings is more general. Then so how would somebody like me, or somebody that's maybe even more talented than me, how could they get on your show?
Okay, I love that. That is a great question. You're reminding me of things that I need to get positioned for too. But that is very true. One thing that I know about you and really respect about you is the fact that you do all types of flags for our veterans. You got programs you're starting for the veterans and your flag. So I would say to you, Craig, have you thought about doing something on in my cabaret about the flags and the artistic creation and how you're integrating that into the world today and why the world needs that? I would, because see, it can be something serious, it can be funny, it can be expressing your own art. I had one guy that had a guitar player, and he created an art piece right in front of the audience, right in front while the guitar player was playing. Now, that was a little bit longer show, but I would see you saying a spoken word maybe about this. I talked to a lady yesterday who is a member of Women in Film and Television, and I asked her to do something about a film she's making. She said, well, I don't want to do that right now because there's some funding coming in. We created, Craig, I got to pause just a second, okay?
Hold on, I'm going to.
I'll just let him see if I was good to go.
Yeah, go. Yes. Okay, I'm sorry, audience, because I furnace or air conditioning person here right now too. But thank you for being patient.
Well, that's
with
one
me.
way to keep your conversation cool.
Yeah. I like it. You can always count on Craig he's got a sense of humor. He's going to be perfect for my cabaret. But anyway, in about 15 minutes, we created a comedy act, and it is going to be a hoot. And I will interview and suggest. I've been doing this with coaching for years, helping people get creative about what they want to do. So, yes, we will sit down and we will talk about your thoughts, Craig, because you are funny. It might turn out to be.
And I know a bunch of creative people too. There's a couple of people I'm thinking about that do business things, but they also do a lot of ad-libbing and audience participation and stuff. So I think that this is something that people and I can see that if somebody is trying to find someone to speak at their event or at their um, company, some kind of event at their company or maybe their social group, that this would be a good place to kind of see a example of the talent as they present it to you and how they may apply it in little presentations within their organization.
We get in our society, we put people in a box. And you were talking about the people in a corporation and the in business, and many of them play instruments or they're comedians by nature. And so this is getting people out of their box. We live by titles anymore, and titles cheat us. She's a consultant. She's a woman that does this. He's a man. He's a father. Yes, we are all those things. But I think what people are thirsty for right now is to express all of who they are. And this is my goal. Whether you work in corporate America or where, you've got something that I want to put in this cabaret, and we're going to figure it out. And all you've got to do then is do it in a short period of time. The funny thing is, I have as a coach, career coach, I have people coming to me and said, Patricia, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm over my numbers work. And so we get creative. The same thing with this show is getting creative about who you are. And I'm watching you, Craig. You got this smiley look on your face. I can tell you, audience, he's already thinking. But
I'm practicing my smile right now. Can you tell?
Exactly. Because he's going to make everybody laugh. I'll tell you right now, we have tentatively set up with NECAT. It's a studio in the technical college here in Nashville on White Bridge Road. We have tentative set up a shooting of the first show. Now, why would I want to do that? I want to get what they do. It's a studio, and they record and shoot the entire show right there. They've got state-of-the-art equipment in that technical college. So we've got August the 25th set up as a tentative date to do our first show. So this is fabulous, Craig, that you've asked me about this, because we will be sending out more information, and maybe you'll even want to interview me again about all the details once we've ironed them out. I do have to be approved by their board, because they want to make sure they're only showing certain kind of shows on in their studio, or recording certain. So I have to be approved, but we've got that tentative set up, and the director said he thinks I'll have no problem at all. So far, this is everybody I've talked to has been real engaged. Now, if it's just up to me to keep taking it to the next level. And I'm so appreciative, Craig, that you asked me about this, because it's just a step one. It's the first step out there that I have really made an announcement about, except to 2 or 3 people. So thank you.
All
Did
right.
I cover what you asked me about?
Well, I think you did great. So if you had one thought to leave everybody with, what would that be?
You know what I always say in my own podcast and when I'm talking to people: keep dreaming. Don't get stuck in you think this is all there is, because we have more to give back to the world than we think we do. We sell ourselves short. So keep dreaming, and then check me out at patricialenard.net, or email me at patricialenard.net, and we will talk more if you have an interest. I'll help you figure out some opportunities. So keep dreaming about what life can possibly be. It ain't over till it's over.